If you've noticed an odd tingling in your feet once the house finally goes quiet at night, if your fingers feel numb even though you haven't hurt them, or if you get burning, shooting, or electric sensations that seem to appear out of nowhere, stay with me for the next few minutes. What I'm about to explain may finally make sense of why your nerves are reacting this way, and more importantly, what you can do right now to protect them before lasting damage takes hold. This conversation isn't about covering up discomfort or chasing short-term relief. It's about identifying what's injuring your nerves and stopping that injury while you still have time. Nerves are not forgiving tissue, and timing matters more than most people realize. Let me make you a clear promise from the beginning. By the end of this video, you will understand the most overlooked and most damaging factor attacking the nerves of older adults today. It's something millions of people encounter every day without linking it to their symptoms. You'll also learn what raises your risk and what changes need to happen sooner rather than later. My name is Dr. Matthew Brooks. I've spent decades working with adults over 50 who struggle with numbness, burning feet, balance issues, unexplained nerve pain, and a condition many are told they must simply accept as getting older, neuropathy. One of the most frustrating patterns I see is how often people are given the wrong reason for why their nerves are breaking down. They're told it's age or genetics or bad luck. In many cases, those explanations are incomplete or just plain wrong. Before we continue, let me ask you something directly. Have you experienced tingling, numbness, burning, or a loss of sensation in your hands or feet? And did you know your nerves can be harmed by blood sugar levels even if you've never been diagnosed with diabetes? Take a moment and let that sink in. Awareness is your first layer of protection, because once nerve damage passes a certain point, our options become very limited. I want to share a story that may feel uncomfortably familiar. A patient I worked with, let's call him Frank, was 68 and newly retired. He stayed active, walked regularly, and considered himself fairly healthy. And yet every night his feet burned so intensely that sleep became difficult. During the day his toes felt numb, and from time to time he'd get sharp electrical jolts that shot through his legs without warning. He was told it was probably aging or circulation, or just something that happens over time. But when we looked closer, we uncovered a daily exposure Frank never suspected. It was something he considered harmless, even normal. It had been quietly damaging his nerves for years. When we removed that exposure, his symptoms didn't disappear overnight. But something very important did happen. The damage stopped moving forward. And for Frank, that changed everything. So here's the question I want you to hold on to. What was that hidden factor? And how many seniors are unknowingly feeding it every single day? To answer that, we need to understand something basic about how nerves function. Nerves are living tissue. They aren't simple wires that can be swapped out or easily repaired. They rely on a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and stable internal chemistry. Compared to skin or muscle, nerves heal painfully slowly. That means injury can accumulate quietly for years before symptoms become obvious. Long before pain, numbness, or burning shows up, nerves may already be under strain. This is where the truth becomes uncomfortable but necessary. The most harmful substance affecting senior nerves today is not an industrial toxin or some rare chemical. It isn't even alcohol by itself. It's something far more common, and something many older adults are actively encouraged to consume. The most damaging poison to nerve health in seniors is chronic blood sugar instability. This is critical to grasp. You do not need diabetes for blood sugar to damage nerves. Repeated spikes are enough. Millions of older adults experience these spikes every day without realizing what's happening inside their bodies. When blood sugar surges sharply, sugar molecules interact with nerve fibers and the tiny blood vessels that feed them. This sets off inflammation, oxidative stress, and a gradual breakdown of the protective coating that allows nerves to transmit clean signals. Over time, those signals become distorted. Tingling appears, then numbness, then burning or stabbing pain. Eventually, balance is affected, and the risk of falling rises. One of the biggest myths in senior health is that neuropathy arrives suddenly. In reality, it develops quietly, often over many years, while the damage continues unnoticed. Let me ask you something important. Have you ever been told your blood sugar is a little high? Or that you're borderline or pre-diabetic? That stage is often where nerve injury begins. Research now shows that pre-diabetes can damage nerves nearly as often as full diabetes. The difference is that most people with prediabetes don't know they have it. This is usually where someone says, "But I eat well." Most of my patients believe that too. And that's exactly why this problem keeps going. The damage hides inside habits and foods that look healthy on the surface. Here's how it works. Step by step. You eat a food that causes a fast rise in blood sugar. Your body releases insulin to move that sugar into cells. Over time, cells respond less and less. Sugar stays in the bloodstream longer. Nerves, especially the long nerves in your feet and hands, are repeatedly exposed to these toxic conditions. The small blood vessels that nourish them become damaged. Oxygen delivery drops. Nerves slowly begin to starve. Because this happens gradually, people often say the symptoms came out of nowhere. In truth, the process has been unfolding quietly for years. This raises another important question. If blood sugar instability is so destructive, why doesn't neuropathy affect everyone the same way? The answer is exposure frequency, duration, and individual nerve resilience. Some nerves tolerate stress longer than others. But once a certain threshold is crossed, symptoms tend to speed up. Now let's talk about where this damage comes from in daily life. One major source is liquid sugar. Fruit juice, sweetened coffee drinks, sports drinks, and smoothies allow sugar to hit the bloodstream extremely fast because the fiber is missing. That speed creates sharp spikes that directly irritate nerve tissue. Juice is often recommended to seniors because it seems gentle and nutritious. In reality, it's one of the fastest ways to aggravate nerve injury. Another source is refined carbohydrates eaten by themselves. Bread, cereal, crackers, rice, and pasta break down quickly into sugar, especially when eaten without protein or fat. Seniors are often advised to eat foods that are easy to digest, but easy digestion often means rapid sugar release. A third contributor is constant snacking. When insulin stays elevated all day, nerves never get a recovery window. Stable conditions are essential for nerve survival. Constant sugar exposure keeps them inflamed. There's another factor that's rarely discussed. Certain medications can quietly worsen nerve health by interfering with nutrient absorption, especially B vitamins. Acid-reducing medications, some diabetes treatments, and cholesterol medications can drain vitamin B12 over time. B12 is essential for maintaining the protective sheath around nerves. Without it, nerves become fragile and misfire. I once worked with a woman, we'll call her Susan, who had numb feet for years. She was told it was aging. When we checked her nutrient levels, her B12 was dangerously low. Her diet wasn't the problem. A medication she had taken faithfully for years was the cause. Once corrected, her nerve damage stopped progressing. It wasn't reversed, but it stopped, and that mattered. Neuropathy is rarely the result of a single cause. It's usually a combination of blood sugar instability, inflammation, nutrient depletion, and reduced circulation. But unstable blood sugar acts like an accelerant. It speeds everything up. This matters because nerves have a tipping point. Early damage may create mild symptoms. Later damage can lead to pain, balance issues, falls, and loss of independence. Once nerve tissue dies, regrowth is extremely limited. Here's what I need you to hear clearly. Neuropathy is not always reversible, but in many cases it can be prevented from getting worse. Preserving function, balance, and comfort can protect your quality of life. Which brings us to the most important part of this conversation. If unstable blood sugar is the poison, what protects nerve tissue? What can you realistically do as an older adult who wants better balance, less discomfort, and more independence? This is where many people expect extreme solutions. The truth is much simpler. The first step in protecting nerves is stabilizing blood sugar. Not forcing it lower, not chasing perfection, but reducing sharp swings. Nerves don't need perfect numbers, they need consistency. Here's one rule I teach that most people have never heard. Never eat carbohydrates by themselves. Not fruit, not bread, not cereal. Carbohydrates eaten alone raise blood sugar too fast. But when paired with protein or healthy fat, absorption slows dramatically. The same food that harms nerves when eaten alone becomes much safer when eaten correctly. This single rule explains why two people eating similar foods can have completely different outcomes. Let me share another example. A 74-year-old man came to see me with burning feet at night and unsteady legs during the day. He believed he ate well. Every morning he drank a fruit smoothie. The sugar hit his bloodstream before his nerves had any protection. We removed the smoothie, added protein and vegetables in the morning, and moved fruit to later in the day after meals. Within weeks, his nerve irritation eased and his balance improved. Nothing magical happened. We simply removed the ongoing insult. Another key step is cutting out liquid sugar. Juice, sweetened drinks, and smoothies create rapid spikes. If you want fruit, eat it whole in small portions and never on an empty stomach. Nutrient protection matters too. Vitamin B12, magnesium, folate, and compounds like alpha lipoic acid can help support nerve stability. But guessing is dangerous. More isn't better. Some vitamins taken the wrong way can worsen nerve damage. Reducing inflammation matters as well. Highly processed foods and excess sugar amplify nerve pain. Whole foods, healthy fats, and gentle movement help calm irritated nerves. Movement doesn't mean intense workouts. A light walk after meals improves circulation and lowers blood sugar. Even 10 minutes makes a difference. Many seniors feel discouraged when they hear nerves heal slowly. That's true, but stopping progression can mean less pain, better sleep, steadier balance, and fewer falls. One of the most dangerous beliefs is that nothing can be done. I worked with a woman in her early 70s who used a cane because she feared falling. When we stabilized her blood sugar and corrected deficiencies, her confidence returned. She wasn't cured, but she regained trust in her body. Neuropathy isn't just about pain. It's about independence. For the next few weeks, remove liquid sugar, pair carbohydrates with protein or fat, eat fruit after meals, walk briefly after eating, and ask about B12 testing. Watch your symptoms closely. Small improvements matter. Anyone promising miracles isn't being honest. But anyone saying nothing can help is wrong too. Progress lives in between. Stopping the damage is always the first step. Stopping the damage is always the first step, and it's one you can take without extremes, without fear, and without waiting for things to get worse. When you remove the ongoing stressors that inflame nerve tissue, you give your body the best chance it has to stabilize what remains. I want to emphasize something important before we close. Many people believe that if nerve symptoms have been present for months or years, it's already too late. That belief often causes more harm than the condition itself. While it's true that advanced nerve damage is difficult to reverse, slowing or stopping progression can preserve function for years. And that can mean fewer sleepless nights, steadier walking, less fear of falling, and more confidence moving through daily life. Your nerves respond to the internal environment you create. Stable blood sugar, adequate nutrients, reduced inflammation, and consistent circulation all work together. None of these changes require perfection. They require awareness and consistency. When those pieces are in place, many people notice symptoms soften, nights become more comfortable, and balance improves enough to restore confidence. If you take nothing else from this conversation, remember this. Tingling, numbness, and burning aren't random. They're signals. Signals aren't punishments. They're messages asking for change. When you listen early, you protect your future mobility and independence. If you recognize yourself in what we discussed today, start with the simple steps. Remove liquid sugar. Stop eating carbohydrates alone. Eat whole foods in balanced combinations. Move gently and regularly. Ask about nutrient levels instead of guessing. Pay attention to how your body responds over the next few weeks. Progress may be slow, but it's real. And in nerve health, slowing damage can be just as powerful as reversing it. If this helped you understand what may be happening in your body, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos like this. Everything I share here is focused on helping you protect your health, your balance, and your independence as you age. And if any of this sounded familiar, leave a comment below and tell me what symptoms you've noticed or what questions you still have. I read the comments, and your experience may help someone else realize they're not alone.